Okay. The weapon design tragedy in Monster Hunter World.
Hunter World was a game that caught the entire gaming industry by surprise and reached a level of success that nobody, not even Capcom, was expecting.
Yeah. Bro, when I played Monster Hunter, the first Monster Hunter game I played was World. Um I was aware of Monster Hunter in the past. Like my buddy used to play, I think he played like the first Monster Hunter, and I think it was on PlayStation 2, and he got like this long ass Ethernet cord so he could play online, ran that shit around on his PC, and I watched him play, and I was kind of interested to like about like what he was doing, but I don't know. I just wasn't hooked at the time. But I mean, years later, Monster Hunter World comes around, and hey, this shit's on PC, and it looks pretty decent. I think I'll give it a shot.
With over 23 million sales and an overwhelmingly positive response from the community, this single title managed to turn a once very niche franchise into a globally known series.
Yeah,
Monster Hunter games were always a hidden gem ready to be discovered. Its gameplay loop, its design,
yeah.
combat, and theme were an obscure relic from very early on.
Oh yeah. I think Monster Hunter was the Souls-like games before Souls-like was Souls-like.
But even though its sales were never lackluster, its presence in the Western market in particular was also very insignificant.
Dang.
Despite all its qualities, there were a lot of aspects that prevented this amazing IP from reaching the masses. The outdated graphics,
Yeah.
the 1 year delay for the global launch of each title, archaic gameplay elements.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like the game came out in I think Japan first, and then a year later it come out in the US or something like that. And plus I mean he already mentioned this, but dude, it's the graphics. Like there's a level of graphics that you can tolerate, but Monster Hunter was just always behind, and I don't know why.
Clunky features, and the fact that it was exclusive to a single console, one that was more prevalent in Japan mind you, all of this kept Monster Hunter away from the highlight that it deserves. And all of that changed with the release of World. Not only it is present on multiple, more globally distributed platforms, its graphical fidelity was increased to an impressive degree, and a lot of its mechanics were streamlined to improve the player's experience and to ease new people engaging with the
Oh yeah.
series for the first time.
And I would say I think World was like the first game, or at least the first Monster Hunter game that came out, and there was probably a significant skill drop off or drop in the game compared to the other Monster Hunter games. Like I never played them, but I'm just saying like what I hear and whatnot. It's like those games were harder, but Monster Hunter World was just easier.
The combat is better than ever, the maps are immersive and vast, and most of its changes made World not only an excellent starting point for newcomers, but to many, it also made World the best Monster Hunter game of all time. But of course, nothing is perfect,
Yeah.
and this is no exception. Even though the 5th generation improved the series in many parameters,
Oh yeah.
some of those changes, however, fell a little bit flat. And today, we will talk about one of those blunders. One in particular that might initially seem as a simple annoyance, but that in reality it has a much larger effect on the game that many people might not see as easily.
Oh, I wonder.
Everyone that has ever played World, especially people that are older fans of the franchise, are very much aware of the weapon design issue, or lack thereof, that plagued both the base game and its expansion Iceborne. The
Yep.
commonly named slap-on designs, which essentially represent weapons that are mostly metal or bone variants, with some additional pieces here and there of the monster they are supposed to be part of. The result is many weapons possessing the same shape, the same materials with almost nothing significant to aesthetically distinguish them from each other.
You know what game I think does weapons really well? To give World of Warcraft some credit in this regard is, I think, fair. World of Warcraft has a lot of great weapons, but a lot of bad ones. But I would say that most of the weapons in World of Warcraft feel very unique. Whenever you get like some legendary or epic type of weapon, where it's like the mythic, the variation in color is just like color changes, but like the weapon design with like the shapes of the weapons, like what little features they have on them, like with the handles, the hilts, like little gems on the ends or on the blade. It does the blade look like a dragon or some shit like that? World of Warcraft does a great job with weapon design in that aspect.
This issue is so bad, in fact, that not only they changed already existing designs of older monsters and turned them into objectively inferior.
Bro, look at this hammer. It's young Garuga's head as the hammer part. Or I think this is hammer? This is so cool. It's just like, I killed this dude, and now I have his head as the hammer part. That's so cool. Oh my god.
Versions, but also a major portion of brand new monsters barely got any new designs. Kuluyaku, Dodogama, Paolumu, Valazak.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is just a bone version with some Valhazak shit on it.
Great Gyros, Biatoros, Tobikadachi, Great Jagras, Tiziaku, Girotodos, Bambaro, Puke Puke.
Okay, let me see. You got like the bone hunt horn, the metal SNS with some feathers. You got like a metal lance. You got the metal great sword right here with some pooky shit right there.
The number of half-assed designs across all 14 weapon types is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
With the most notorious and egregious examples being the Glevna's Greatsword,
Oh.
Nargacuga's Dual Blade.
Dang, wait, is this what it was and this what it is now?
And literally all Xenojiva gear.
Oh yeah, this is like bland as fuck. This is just a metal hammer with some Xeno, I don't know, pedals like on it. This is just the metal longsword with some, again, Xenojiva pedals. It's like it's boring. And this is the same metal SNS with just some Xenojiva, I don't know, whatever you call these, skin.
You know, the final boss of the base game. For players that started their Monster Hunter journey with World, this issue is an understandable one, but it may feel more like a bummer or nuisance rather than a serious problem. In reality though, this means a lot more than you think, and it may even affect the upcoming 6th generation title, Monster Hunter Wilds.
I hope this is not an issue, because I hope this doesn't become an issue in Wilds, because a lot of the times in a lot of other genres of game, I'll just go off and say like either gacha games or FPSs, how they get cosmetics implemented into their games is essentially just like just pay for the skin. There's like two types of skins that you can get. There's like the in-game skins and the pay, like the just pay real money for a skin. Now the in-game skins that you can earn, like they look okay, but they're nothing crazy. The paid skins have to look really good. So there's an incentivization for the devs to make the paid skins look really good, because people are paying like on top of like if the game is like free to play, whatever, they're gonna have to pay like $20, $30, $40, $50 for a skin, and they want the player to feel like they got their money's worth. So there's an incentivization there to just go off the walls with some of these skins, at least gun skins or whatever. And then you take a game that is a single player game and there are no pay to win like skins or microtransactions. I mean, yes, there's microtransactions, but There's not a lot of like I don't think there are any like paid weapon skins in Monster Hunter Wilds. I really hope that that's not a thing. That would be so heartbreaking if they implemented this shit in the game like that. Oh my god. But since there aren't paid skins, the in-game weapons have to feel like really cool and unique. Monster Hunter World dropped the ball in this aspect in that they just a lot of the weapons, not every one of them, but a lot of the weapons just use that same metal variant, bone variant, plus a little bit of like monster flourish on the side, which feels doubly fucking stupid when in a game that you can see your character because it's third person and you can see the weapon and you can see your character use the weapon. It's like it wouldn't be as much of an issue like if you think about like FPS and you buy a skin for your character. You can't really see the skin to your character. But if you buy a skin for your character and you can see your character, ooh, all of a sudden it's worth a little bit more because you can see your own skin at all times. Monster Hunter, you can see your character and your weapon at all times. So why wouldn't you put a little extra effort into the weapon design?
Here's how. For one, and this may be the easiest argument to use in these discussions, changing the way weapons are designed is always a very risky move, and if done ineptly, it is purely a net negative. The series exists for 20 years at this point, and World was the first time in these 2 decades that Capcom altered the way they craft their weaponry's look. In theory, what they were going for sounded like a decent idea. Each weapon would begin with this less elaborate style, and over the course of the game, their upgrades would gradually add more visual features until they would finally reach a completely unique design. That concept was never used before, but it does
like the evolution of a weapon. Like you start out with like the Dollar Tree version, and then you have by the end of the game, you have like the Gucci version, because it's nice to have a little bit of like visual progression in terms of like how your character looks and the type of weapons. I think that like the concept was well thought out, but the execution was just bad.
Sound good on paper. It would enhance the sense of progression the player has throughout the playthrough. It would continuously keep the person engaged, since every other upgrade or so, the weapons would change their appearance, having a constant feeling of surprise and discovery. And in very few occasions, they achieve that quite well.
Oof.
But here's the problem. This method, for it to work, requires the beginning of the process to be substantially different from its end. Because the essence, the core purpose of this feature, is for the player to see and be able to show its progression through the gear they use.
Yeah.
And the more drastic the change between designs is, the more satisfactory is that sensation.
True.
World unfortunately didn't do that on 90% of cases.
Yeah. Like a lot of the cool ass looking weapons are like tier 11, tier 12, like all the way at the end of the weapon tree. But a lot of the bullshit bland vanilla stuff is like what you're using most of the game is like 90% of the weapon trees.
Did change, yes, multiple times in some examples, but the end product was...
Yeah, like what the fuck is this? This is essentially like the same, what is this, gun lance? I mean, ooh, you got like a single blade and then a little spiky boy right there. And then it's like serrated. It's like, yeah, but mostly, if you just like flash your eyes, these essentially look the same. Like, yes, if you look real close, it's like, ooh, there's a curve there. It's like I guess these are jawbones, and then it's like where the fuck happened here? And like, ooh, the bones kind of stick out right there. Ooh, whatever.
It's not all that different from how the weapon initially started as. That gives the impression that said progression was stopped midway through. It gives the sense that the developers couldn't finish the designs in time. They look unfinished at best and lazy at worst.
Yeah.
But regardless if that is the case or not, in the end, what we have is a poorly executed methodology. This sentiment is even worse when we consider the older monster designs being changed. In those cases, this situation is immensely more infuriating because all Capcom had to do was literally copy-pasting the weapons over to World.
Oh,
They
dang.
didn't have to change them. If anything,
Yeah, just give them like a little bit more resolution in the weapon design. Have them have more than 2 pixels per weapon.
people wanted the styles to remain completely intact. And they ended up actually doing that with most endgame monster gear like Raging Bracky, Elatrion, and Fatalis.
Oh yeah.
But many
Shit looks
others
sick.
weren't so lucky. And that's what makes this situation so confusing. Capcom clearly is capable of doing both good new designs and porting old ones, but it's extremely inconsistent. Some get that treatment, others don't, some get it only partially. It feels very arbitrary and it is difficult to understand the reason behind it. There is some speculation that since World really doubled down on immersion that they also tried to create some more realistic designs, but no matter if that statement is true or false, not only that idea is nonsensical for Monster Hunter specifically, the developers didn't even follow that ideology half the time, otherwise we wouldn't get any returning weapons at all or even joke weapons.
Yeah.
But
Oh my god. Let me see this.
at all or even joke weapons.
I actually like the joke weapons. What was this? That was the dual blade. What was this one? Was this one also a dual blade? I know that was great sword. I think this was either great sword or hammer, and I forgot what this one was. I know this is like the shield spire and like a little rocket. Was this SNS? I don't remember.
But there is another reason for this to be an issue. One that makes this a more impactful problem and one that can also affect the future of the franchise.
Ooh. The visual progression of your character. I think whenever your character goes from like looking like a bum to looking like a badass, I think that's like really cool. But for a lot of these weapons, they just drop the ball. I think you need to have a little bit more of a drastic design change. Between like when you go from like the tier 1 version to like the tier 12 version of the weapon, you need to have like a little bit more change.
Monster Hunter at its core is a looter game with RPG elements.
Yeah.
The loot is the monster's gear, which you will later use to kill stronger monsters to also get their gear to then kill even stronger monsters. A never-ending cycle that starts at the very beginning of the game and only ends when you stop playing it. In a looter, the most crucial, the most essential, the most important aspect of it
looking
is
cool.
the loot. Obviously, the series revolves around players doing the exact same thing over and over and over. And for that to work, not only the activity, aka hunting, needs to be engaging and satisfying, there must also be a reason to do so.
I want the better gear. I want the bigger number. I want the cooler looking weapon. I want the cooler looking gear. That's it.
No matter how enjoyable the combat is, players need to have a reason to do it. There has to always be an incentive present, a purpose. Otherwise, the motivation to play the game will dissipate a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that this will always happen eventually. Sooner or later, at some point, you will no longer have the drive to hunt. That is inevitability. The loot component serves to provide a sense of progression to the player and also to delay that moment for as long as possible. The gear in Monster Hunter is special. Through its theme, lore, gameplay and design philosophy, they managed to craft a loot system that is nothing shy of pure perfection.
It's good. It's a good loot system.
Lightly. We all know that each monster is created to be unique, believable, and rich in both its design, its moveset, and also its biology.
Yeah, the boys that make all these monsters in Monster Hunter World, or just Monster Hunter period, they take a lot of time and effort and like how they look, where they go, just the entire biology of a monster, the environment that they hang out in. Like, I think I remember like there was like a video where when they were working on the movie, rest in peace, the Monster Hunter movie, one of when they first came out with the Diablos monster, they said that they came out and they showed the guys that made the monster. They had like Diablos with really sharp, pointy claws, but then they had to go back and correct it and make the claws more like dull and like I don't know, just dull, like not sharp, not pointy. Because the creators had to specify that Diablos wouldn't have sharp nails. All he does is like dig around in the sand and rocks all day. So his appendages would be very like rounded and blunted and all calloused and whatnot. It's just a small little thing that they notice. So they know every monster like inside and out, and whenever somebody changes it, they know. It's so funny, dude.
We don't need to know that a single Rathalos can be partnered with multiple Rathians. We don't need to know that Black Diablos are female normal Diablos in heat. We don't need to know that Brachydios' slime is an independent organism that establishes a symbiotic relationship with the monster and that females share their slimes with their young.
Dang.
That is
I didn't know any of that, dude.
It does not affect gameplay. But it does affect how we perceive the monster, the game, and most importantly, the world around us. Those little details immerse ourselves into the Monster Hunter universe. It makes us feel like we are a part of it. And that creates a connection between players and the game itself that is very, very difficult to break. A bond that makes us want to play the game not just for its gameplay, but also because we want to know more.
Because
we
lore.
want to discover new things about it. And their equipment is treated the same way. Each weapon, each armor set is unique, but it is not distinct just for the sake of it. Each monster has a theme, a code which their gear follows. They share elements of the monster itself or possess such a unique and identifiable style that you quickly associate it to that specific creature.
Oh yeah.
Barroth's weapons contain its iconic rigid structure of its.
Yeah. Anytime someone's like rocking like a Baroth thing, these little like honestly, they look like French fries. They look like big chunky French fries, like just plastered on the weapon. So it's like, oh, that's Baroth.
Upper cranium as well as the same coloration and texture. Rajang's armor is a stylized representation of Sun Wukong from Chinese mythology, with its weapons being crude and blunt. Kushala Daora's gear has the same metallic structure and pigmentation as the animal itself. Yes, Kushala's skin is literally made of metal, possessing
I did not know that.
References to ancient Greek and Egyptian culture, and their weapons follow a pattern of being shaped in the form of a real-life animal.
Cool.
These matters. Their uniqueness is not solely for the game's progression. They don't look different from each other just to look cool. These designs go beyond that. They are created with a focus, a pattern, a goal they want to achieve. The developers want players to not just wear the monsters, they want them to wear the monster's identity.
Yeah, because I can easily identify a bad hunter when they bring in an ice weapon to the Valkana hunt. That guy's bad.
It's symbolism. Each set has meaning, a theme that represents how the creature look, behave, or portray. What World has doesn't just look inspiring, unoriginal, boring, or lazy. These lackluster designs drastically reduce the motivation these games once had and need to captivate the audience while playing, but even more so, it took away part of the monster's identity, and consequentially, part of the game as a whole.
True.
Now, people can argue that Risebreak fixed that issue and therefore is no longer a concern that we should have. And
yeah, but Rise and Sunbreak have different issues.
While that statement is mostly true, it is not completely. And there's also another aspect that we should consider. Monster Hunter Wilds, unlike Rise, will be another mainline title, being the 6th generation successor to World. This means that we'll most likely follow World's pacing and design philosophy a lot more closely than Rise's, which can then open the possibility that they may retry the same weapon progression methodology. And if they fail at it again, it can affect Wilds even more due to Rise having already fixed this issue. Fortunately, from what we have available so far, the only weapon 100% confirmed in the upcoming game, this greatsword over here, is completely original and does not resemble any of the basic.
Yeah, I want all new weapons, all new weapons, all new weapon designs, whatever. I don't care how zany they look, just new hotness. Old and busted, new hotness.
Ore or bone weapons World had, so that's a good start. But we cannot underestimate how important equipment design is for this franchise, and we can only hope past mistakes are not repeated.
Here's hoping.
A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you want to join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month, the link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server, engage with the community, and I hope to see you all next time.
Nice. Yeah, dude, that was a good ass video. I'm a fan. Yeah, like exactly, you're like on point the whole time, dude. Like the weapon designs in World, they were just mid at best. The good shit was always at the end. I mean, and even in Iceborne for the most part. But, you know, when Wilds comes out, hopefully they'll be able to straighten everything out, give us some good weapon progressions, and yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll be good. But yeah, I love the video. I want to see more. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.